What's going on? Alright, so the goal for this video is, I guess, kind of a big deal. It's I'm going to get the actual engine, made it to the E153. Probably not going to get it into the engine bay tonight, but I'm just really eager to get these two made it together and ready to go in. So, from your perspective, it may be one video. I'll probably break it up into a couple of videos, though. I don't know. I guess it depends on how much actual work goes into it. Because I'm only going to work on it a few hours a night, so whatever I get done is what I get done. I don't know. I'm babbling. I'm just going to go ahead and get to it. Alright, so the first task is going to be getting the adapter plate mounted to the engine. I do believe I need to cut this one down. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this down ever so slightly. Really love this thing. So if you remember when I did this with the mock-up engine, I had to do this because the this dowel is just a little too long. Remember, this recess, this hole here is a recess, and it's not, it doesn't go all the way through. So if I was smart when I did this the first time, I would have labeled all the bolts when I took them out. Definitely did not do that. I'm trying to think of how this all goes together. I can get the flywheel on. First, make sure these threads are nice and clean. Alright, they feel good. So when you put these flywheel bolts in, you have to remember to use some type of thread locker or thread sealer, because these holes go right into the crankcase, the crankcase galley. And if you don't seal the threads on these, you will get oil leaking past the bolts, and it's a bad time for everyone. So I'm just going to use some blue Loctite. Moment of truth, because I don't know if this is going to clear. It looks really close. Oh, plenty of room. Holy crap, yeah. Okay, cool. So one of the things you have to do is there's normally a weight ring on the back of the flywheel, and you have to machine that off. I got this one from Carlos, and Carlos/Manuel. I don't think that they realized this was one that they machined down for the 153 swap, but Carlos gave it to me when I bought a clutch off of him. And at the time, I had no plan on doing the E153 swap, but yeah, so glad I got this off him. Alright. So now we got our competition clutch disc. This is from a Toyota Helix. and our Clutch Masters FX400 pressure plate. It's going to be fun getting this lined up because there's no clutch alignment tool that really works with this combination. Because there's no pilot bearing, so I will use the clutch alignment tool, but kind of just as a guide. I'm going to basically have to eyeball it. Yeah, lining this up without a clutch alignment tool is not fun. So, over here on this, okay, what I'm fighting over here is this is jammed up against here, and it's not allowing me to rotate the engine. I guess I could take it out. No, I can't take it out because I can't get a wrench on there. But anyways, yeah, so that guy right there. So I just need to somehow figure out how to undo it. Actually wedged together right now. The real thing I'm curious about is whether or not the flywheel is touching the inside of the bell housing or not. So the pressure plate's definitely making contact with the. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this apart, see where it's touching, and yeah. All right, so I did some grinding inside. All the places where it looked like the clutch touched. I'm just taking off a little bit at a time. I don't want to go nuts. This is where the shift forks rest, so I definitely don't want to make those too thin. That would suck, yeah. This, I don't know how thin to make that, but it seemed very close, so maybe that'll be enough. So we'll try and stab it back together and see what it looks like. this for a while. Yeah. Rock solid. Alright guys, so I ran into a bit of a snafu. Thought I was ready to mate everything together and get it back inside the car, but I'm having an issue with a interference issue with the pressure plate and the transmission. So I got in here, I started grinding down some spaces where it was touching. And yeah, I don't really know how thick this material is. If I knew, I'd feel a lot more comfortable grinding. But the amount of interference is so much so that I feel like I'd have to grind way too much out of the transmission in order to get it clear. So it's a known problem. It's we know that one of the issues is clearance. So with the right clutch, you can grind the transmission and you can make it work, right? You know, people also suggest grinding the steps down and just machining the flywheel down. That also works, or a combination of the two. So I don't want to do that because this is, I mean, I could do that, but I feel like even if I have this step ground down with the pressure plate that I'm using, it's still going to be a very tight fit with this because it was like not even really close. So I mean, like I said, I could get this machine down. The other option is to have these steps completely ground down, and then I would have to get a different pressure plate that would work with the new profile of the flywheel. That I don't want to do because that's a $400 pressure plate, and I just don't want to go through all that BS. So mosquitoes, man. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is use a different flywheel. Not going to use this flywheel, obviously, but I'm just using this for testing purposes. So you'll notice the thickness on this guy. The distance from the ring gear to the first step is pretty substantial. That's, you know, yeah, that's like half an inch there, right? You know, versus this guy, where the step from the ring gear to the pedestal, or from the whatever you want to call it, the mount, is a lot less. So this is a front wheel drive BP05 flywheel. This is a Miata flywheel. So the Miata flywheels are a little lower profile. The step height, I believe, is about the same. .373. So yeah, they're about the same. You know, measuring the step height. So the step height's the same. It looks like the big difference is the distance from the ring gear. 20.35 versus 20.05. So the step's pretty close. But what I'm concerned about is the distance from here, so 33.54, to here on this guy. It's really not that much more. It seems like it would be more. 28.83. It's really not that much more. It looks substantial. Yeah, 28.8. 33.7. That's pretty substantial. So yeah, so what I'm going to do real quick, pull this flywheel off, try the Miata flywheel, and see what the clearance looks like. And if that looks good, I'll order a ACT or a competition clutch chromoly flywheel. That will solve my problem. I guess I would use this flywheel. This is the flywheel from the XTD kit, and that's the reason why I don't want to use it, because it's an eBay flywheel, and I like my legs. Really don't want to lose my legs because of running a cheap flywheel. So I'll get one of the nice SFI certified ones, and we'll see. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this guy off and put the eBay one on and see what she looks like. Alright, let's see if she's touching. Try and rotate the front of the engine, or rotate the crank. We have interference. I think we still have that. Yeah, still got some touching. Not as bad though. Yeah, right there. So we still got some interference. But not nearly as bad as with the other flywheel. The other flywheel was locked up solid. Probably can't really see in there. But anyways, there's a little bit of white paint right here. I think that might be it. I might need to grind a little there. But I don't see any paint anywhere else. So I think that might be it. So I can grind that down a little bit. See what we look like. I think we're clearing. Yeah, that feels good. I think we're good there. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, howdy. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to order either the ACT or the competition clutch. I think they're probably the exact same flywheel. Honestly, they look exactly the same, and they're actually sold by the same distributor. So, probably the same flywheel, honestly. But anyways, it's a SFI 1.5 chromoly lightweight flywheel. But it's meant for the Miata, so it's a little bit lighter, or a lot bit lighter. Lighter than the front-wheel drive flywheel. So that should solve my problem. The only issue I foresee happening is the ACT or ATC. Yeah, the only problem I see happening is the new flywheel being a little bit thicker, but I think it'll still work. I can still clearance a little bit more. This is a lot better, so it's a lot better than with the other flywheel. So I'll go order that, and hopefully it'll be here in a few days. Until then, I'll see you later. Alright, so it's like 3 days later. To you, it was instantaneous. So where we left off, or where I left off. Alright, so for you guys, you know, it was no time at all, but for me, I've got to do some catching up, so this is more so for me than it is for you. So where we left off at, I tried the eBay XTD lightweight flywheel just to see if the clearance was better than the stock flywheel, which it was, because this is really thick compared to this guy, which is considerably thinner. So I decided I was going to go ahead and buy a better lightweight flywheel. I had actually taken this guy to go get it surfaced, but I was like, you know, I burned it up. I put all types of hot spots on it, and it's a questionable eBay product. You know, it's XTD. So I went ahead and I bought a competition clutch flywheel. It was either this or the ATC or ACT, whatever. The other guys, they're practically the same. This one was a little bit cheaper. So, anyways, I went with this guy. This is their it's a lightweight flywheel, but it's meant for, according to them, it's meant for forced induction and drag. So rather than being like 9 pounds like the other lightweight flywheels, it's like 13 or 14 pounds or something like that. So, so hopefully this won't, you know, explode and take my ankles out. It is SFI certified, or yeah, I think that's the word. Anyways, but yeah, it is you know, certified. It is a 1.5 certified, so shouldn't explode on me. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and swap these two, put the pressure plate back on that guy and all that stuff, and try the transmission again. See what the clearance looks like. This guy is a little bit thicker than this guy, just like 2 millimeters thicker, but it's thicker, so I may have to do more clearancing inside the transmission still. Even though this one fit, I had to trim a little bit more. This one's a little bit thicker than this one, so it will probably still have some interference. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy on here, and yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get to it. So I thought I'd take a real quick second here just to look at these two different flywheels. This is the you know, so these are the two flywheels. You can see this one is machined. There's like a machine edge on the entire surface. This is like flat, like including the part that mates to the crank. So it makes me wonder if this guy is just like, forged, you know, or cast, and this guy is actually forged and then machined into spec. It's kind of weird. Also notice there's a little notch there where this guy is balanced, and there doesn't seem to be any real indication on this guy that they balanced it. I mean, maybe they got it right when they put it together and everything was perfect, but that's highly doubtful. So yeah, no signs of it being balanced. Or this guy has a little notch there where they balanced it. So it's why you buy quality products, you know, especially if you're gonna be making 500 horse. Alright. So we're back to making contact again. Do a little more trimming. So spraying a little bit of fresh paint in there. Alright, so what I did there was to spray a little bit of fresh paint inside the bell housing. That way, if we're making contact anywhere, it'll scratch the paint and I'll know exactly where I need to trim. Alright, I think we're good. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get the clutch disc in and get the transmission back on. I think probably a good spot to end this one, because I'm not going to get very much further right now. So. Alright, so just about got the engine completely dressed. I gotta get the alternator on. I got some lower bell housing bolts that need to go in, the ones for the oil pan, which conveniently are about, if you get a 10 by 1.25, 30 millimeter long, those are just the right size to fit inside that to clear before they bottom out. So I missed one area here, and that's right down here where this there we go. Nope. There we go, right here. It's hard to do when it's backwards. So I didn't notice that the oil pan would interfere with this bolt, and I end up using an Allen because it doesn't have much of a head on it. So yeah, just be aware, you need to trim around the oil pan a little bit before you get this far. So something to be mindful of. This is on the front of the oil pan, by the way, front of the engine. So it's right down there. So like I said, I just got to go ahead and zip these bottom pan bolts in, and get the alternator on, and then I should be ready to put this guy into there. I got the engine fully dressed. We got the jack shaft on, our intermediate shaft, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Alternator's on, starter's installed. Went ahead and attached the ground cable for the starter. Got it attached to the starter since that's going to be drawing the most current. Want to make sure that's good. Power connected to the battery, or to the starter, from the starter directly to the battery. All that stuff's there. Engine mounts are attached. The front mount is still inside the car, but all the other mounts are attached. So yeah, we should be ready to attempt to get this guy inside the car. Spare engine, there's no front crank pulley or any of that stuff installed. This thing barely fits between the frame rails with the pulley on, and I think once it gets down it'll be alright, but it's a very tight fit. It's a very snug fit. Sweet deal. So I'm gonna climb up under there and get the bottom mount connected, and yeah. So from this point on, I've got a lot of work to do. So I figured this video is probably already pretty long. So I'll go ahead and we will stop it here. And I don't know, this might be, well, I gotta get the axles connected. So yeah, I get the, well, whatever. Gonna go ahead and end it here. Till next time.